She's an expert. Hello, everybody. My apologies. It's my fault we're running late entirely. And if Katie doesn't make it, that's also my fault. I sent the link to the girls literally about 4 minutes ago, so
That's fine.
be my fault. It says there's 18 people here, but the comments haven't come through, and I am wondering now whether to try and open this and just check that there's not an issue with StreamYard, because I've been having problems this week with the live shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just the internet. It kept like slowing me down, kicking me off. It was doing all kinds of things this week, and it's been a StreamYard YouTube issue.
I'm seeing. Oh, there they are. I was like, I'm seeing comments on YouTube, but nothing was popping up, and we're good.
They were delayed.
Yeah.
It's fine. Hello, everybody. We have a Gavlar. Hey, handsome. Just didn't get enough of each other on Tuesday on our 11.5-hour sprints.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. We got entirely carried away.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was a good time though. We had a great time. I haven't done sprints for that like length of time. It's such a long time. It took me back to like proper lockdown days, you know, when everyone had nothing else to do but sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Proper took me back to those days. We are here to discuss The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz today for Cliterature Book Club. Your edition is so much prettier than mine.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I like that one too. So I don't know. I do like this little thing here. This is fun.
It's really pretty. I saw the American cover first and I was like, oh my God, this cover is gorgeous. And then the UK one came out. I was like, really?
Yeah, it's always interesting because it's not always the case that they have different covers, but I don't know what determines that. Also, I would like to share that I have a signed copy.
Oh, check you.
I actually met her in May. So
nice.
I have some like fun backstory of the book that I can like talk about at the end.
Nice. So as always, we will discuss this non-spoiler to start off with, our initial thoughts and what we rated it, and then we will get into spoilers. I'll let you know when we're getting into spoilers, and then if anyone is here just for the bants and wants to leave because they want to read the book, then they can go at that point. But yeah, I know it's been a while since you've read it, but what were your thoughts? What did you rate it?
I gave this 5 stars. This is one of my favorite thrillers this year. It is unhinged, and kind of messy, and I just had a good time with it. So that's kind of what I look for in thrillers. So yeah, I had a great time with it.
Nice. I also thoroughly enjoyed myself. I gave it 4.5. I gave 5 stars. I still really, really enjoyed myself with it. I thought it was a great time. I think I predicted, like, it was one of those things, you know, in your head when you're like, oh, that's fishy. And then you don't come back to it and make a prediction on it. But you kind of, when it happens, you're like, I knew it. I didn't say it out loud in my head, but I knew it.
I try to read thrillers so quickly that I don't have time to think about anything.
Nice. I'm usually terrible at predictions because I am quite new to thrillers and horrors, but I'm usually terrible at making predictions. But with this one, I did make a few and they were correct. I still think the story is entirely unhinged though, and coming, but it was a good time. Always leads people astray. Yes, he does. It was a productive day though. I will give him that. Yeah, it does. I think the UK cover actually does make it look more horror-esque than thriller, and it is definitely more thriller than horror. But I mean, it is a thriller, or erotic thriller, as the new term is that I have found. It makes me very happy. When it was not, yeah. I read this the first week it came out. What a wild ride! Nice. I gave it 5 stars. So what the F was I reading? Didn't enjoy the book, gave it 2. Interesting. It was unhinged, but I still really liked it and had a wonderful time. Same. Ooh, 1.5. Fair.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Goodreads rating or average rating is like 3.48 or something. So
yeah.
like it is very divisive.
Yeah, I would say I think it's a bit like what we in the UK would call a Marmite book. You either love it or hate it. And I think it is
Mm,
very much in. After saying that, we do have a 3.5 star here, which is very middle of the road. So zoned out during some points, but love the chaos. DNF'd it. Interesting. 2 stars. Sadly, the lowest rated book of the year so far. Too unhinged and too predictable. Fair.
yeah, that's very valid, but I love unhinged. I love ridiculous. Like, I
Same.
don't know. So whenever I was talking to this author, I was like, um, I don't know why I brought it up, but I was like, some people don't like this because it's too ridiculous. And she was like, I know. And I was like, but like I personally don't want books to be realistic or like I would just exist in real life. Like I want to read books, especially thrillers, for them to be ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah.
But also I respect when people don't want that. But she's like, yeah, like I just wanted this to be fun. So
Yeah, I do think it like falls almost in the category of quite fun and campy as a thriller, as far as a thriller goes, and like horrors and stuff. And I kind of love that. I don't mind when
mm-hmm.
a thriller's a bit like out there and a bit friggin' wild, and you're like, this is just getting stupid now because it's kind of a good time.
Yeah.
3 stars, premise was good, but execution was lacking. Fair. I've quit nearly every book club this year, but I'm still hanging on to Cliterature somehow, even though I'm not much of a romance person. The book's usually more fun to talk about. I do appreciate that, because I was having this conversation with Lexi in the last the live show before that, whichever one we last did. And I was saying to her, and this is how we've ended up, actually, it's a lot of thanks to Lexi, but this is how we've ended up with doing some thrillers with the romance element into it, because I was saying I need to shake things up a little bit because I feel like we're getting stilted as a book club. There's not, romance goes one way, and there's only so much
Mm-hmm.
you can say in a discussion with romance. I feel like thrillers, there's way more for you to talk about, like the twists and turns, the reveals, and all of that stuff. So I do appreciate this because that's great news, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Whacking this over. So I was just like, what happened? I was making notes on my phone because I didn't want to write in the book because I'm always like, if I start off a book going, oh my God, I'm absolutely going to love this and I need to make notes, I will write in the book because I know I'm probably going to keep it. But I wasn't 100% convinced with this. And I thought, if I do unhaul it, I don't want to have notes all over it because there's only so many places it can go. So I was
Mm-hmm.
making notes on my phone all the way through. And there was like a dream that she had at the end of a chapter. And you know what? Let's just get into spoilers because that's where we're at right now. We'll get into spoilers. But the dream she had at the end of that chapter where she goes out on the landing and then she ends up being thrown off the balcony. And Yana comes over and she's like, oh, what a mess. I'll come back in the morning. And then the chapter just ends. And I was like, and I was ready to put the book down and go and get some food. And I was like, absolutely not. What just happened? And I made a note in my phone. Literally, the next chapter was, I woke up. That was a horrible dream. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the dreams were an interesting part of this because, like, you didn't really know what to believe at any point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all the way through the book that it was suspicion. I was like, is this a dream? The
Mm-hmm.
whole when they're all high and she goes to the basement. And I was like, okay, this has got to be a dream. And then she woke up in the morning and we still don't know if it was a dream or not. And I'm like, 1 minute she's having sex with a demon, the next thing she's waking up in bed the following morning. What happened?
Drugs.
Yeah, just drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought Alex was a whiny mood, but she did get better. I honestly thought she'd be the killer. I was wrong. Yeah. Suspicion everywhere. I did pick up on Taylor was one of the people that I was like, something is not right here. When she told Alex about Ren, being like, oh yeah, Ren's been telling, I've done so well with the name so far, and now I'm going to fuck it up. Ren's been telling the woman who's running the whole thing,
Rosa.
Ren's been telling Rosa that you did this and you did that and all the other stuff. And I was like, that's suspicious. But I didn't make a note of it fully. So when it was revealed that she was in on it all, I was like, okay, that's not as shocking as I thought it was going to be. But I don't know, the whole shit, like with the chef, like she wasn't fully in on it, but she has to stand by and just watch it. And I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. It's one of those things too where like I'm sure they're getting paid so much money and like it would be hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, especially with her daughter being sick as well.
Yeah.
And she's paying for the hospital fees and stuff. Um, I was so gutted though when she was killed. I was like, no. I was absolutely devastated. What predictions did I make? The necklaces were weird, and my first question was, what is the significances of the necklace? Did we ever get to the bottom of that? I can't remember.
The one had a microphone in it, and I
Um,
think that it was just like they all got one, so it didn't look suspicious.
yeah,
So I think that was what it was.
yeah. I made a prediction that Rosa would write Alex and Ren's story, which was the prediction of their actual story of the relationship, but their friendship. But I obviously got that prediction. I was kind of in a similar vein, but got the prediction wrong because obviously she was stealing stories.
Yeah. I liked that reveal. Like
Yeah,
that she didn't write anything. And she
yeah,
was like, everything was just taken from somebody. And then she like gets so obsessed with being a writer and like all of this that she just like kidnaps people in her
yeah.
basement. Like,
That was insane. That was fucking wild. I was like, what? And for a hot minute as well, I was actually convinced that Poppy, not Poppy, was in on it for a little while as well. I was like, this is not when she went missing, but once she was kidnapped and then she was willing to kind of go along with it, I was like, oh my God, is she in on it? Like, what is going on? Wild, wild.
yeah, there's so many things that happened in this book.
So many. Yeah, my last thing is Taylor killing Chitara was fucking wild with the wide eye emoji. That's literally the last thing I wrote on my notes. And then should have seen Taylor coming with an eye roll emoji. The bullshit she told Alex about Ren. Oh. Oh yeah, and Yana being obsessed with Rosa. Yeah, she's just going through different women though, isn't she? So like clearly Yana was the original Taylor. She demoted Yana, brought Taylor in, and then she was going to demote Taylor and bring Alex or Ren in.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm intrigued to know whether or not we might get like a not quite a second book in the series, like a series of it, but I'm intrigued to know. It's a nice kind of cliffhanger to be left on as to whether won't she contact Rosa again. But if she's in that vein, like that state of mind, like this could actually be kind of incredible. I would happily give her my book. Like, imagine living the life.
Yeah, I like the ambiguous endings like that.
Yeah.
And I'd probably read the sequel just because, but like I don't specifically want one.
No, yeah. Yeah. I think if she was to do one, it would have to be like a novella or something. It's just like a short story of, okay, here's what happened to Alex after. Yeah. The dreams are incredibly unhinged. So wild. Somewhere between 3 and 5 for me. I kind of liked, I will say as well, considering this is meant to be like a romance book club, I kind of liked the steam level in this as well. Like it wasn't too much, but I think it brought something else to the book as well that you wouldn't normally get in a thriller. And I kind of liked that.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more of a thing. So Julia Bartz and Andrea Bartz are sisters.
Yeah.
And Andrea's new book is literally following a married couple who invites our main character to like be their like third person. So
Nice.
that is apparently very steamy as well.
Nice. I have got Andrea's first book, We Were Never Here. Have I made that title up? Is that what it's called? I haven't read it yet, but at the time, for some reason, I never made the connection until I then saw a post. I think it was like on Instagram or something, where like it was confirmed. I don't know what post I saw, to be honest, but I was like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
they were both at that event that I went to.
nice. Yeah, it is a shame. I don't know. I think, but when you think in life though, like I've gone through quite a few friendship breakups. You do, as you get older, you do lose friends. And I actually think sometimes friendship breakups can be worse than relationship breakups because it's really, really hard. You've got a lot invested in that person. But this is like a friendship slash not quite relationship, but could have been a relationship breakup. And that's a lot to take in. And especially to be like, your best friend's just gone down on you and then she ghosts you forever. And I'm like, I mean, I would be confused and I'd probably be whinging about it too. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been like slightly over the top, like her reactions, like the way like it made her act, but I feel like I would be pretty upset too.
Yeah. I'd be incredibly confused. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm.
What got me was the scene when Rosa publicly said that the male author for not writing a book she was doing with, but we find out she stole and killed for stories. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually crazy that she was doing that. And like you say, like the only she wrote one book and it tanked, and the rest of the books, even when Alex found out that one book that she's pinned all her hopes and dreams on was not written by her, I was like, oh dear. Like
Mm-hmm.
just imagine finding out your favorite author of all time did not write that book and stole it from someone. You'd be absolutely devastated as a fan, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Especially as somebody who like she wanted to be an author like partially because of that. So like it like the book and then Rosa were such a huge influence on her entire life.
Yeah.
So to find out that like that was a lie.
And it is clearly, she has clearly had quite an impact on her, so much so that even with the ambiguous ending, she's like, will I or won't I? And I'm like, dude, this woman is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was like the whole time. Well, I guess if you have a main character where you are considering if she is the one that's behind everything because she's so like just she has some things going on. Like I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really good time. I had a great time. I think the writing was fantastic as well. I would absolutely read something from Julia again. Like,
Mhm.
I thought it was really, really good. And I really liked, I don't know what it is about books that have books in them. Like, you know, you get the chapters from the book that either a person's writing or they're reading from, etc., etc. Like, I think about the Bromance Book Club, you get chapters from the book that the boys are reading. And ironically enough, we're actually getting the book now. Like, the author's written the book that was within the book.
Mhm.
I just really enjoy that element of it because I'm like, to write a book on its own anyway is hard work, but then to write chapters of another book within that book, the
Mhm.
brain, the mind boggles.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's something that happens in a couple other books that I really like.
Yeah,
I think it's fun.
yeah, I enjoyed that element. It was good. Now I found my like murder.
Yeah, it's like it's so unhinged to be like I'm so into this that I'm going to like hold people captive and like steal their stories when she literally could just be an editor. Like you have to be a very certain kind of person to do this, and it's just
Yeah.
really for no reason.
I mean, after saying that though, the editors, I suppose, don't get paid the millions.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's just wild. I'm really looking forward to picking this up now, to be honest. I'm kind of thinking that I might want to try and fit it in just before like summer comes to an end, albeit in my brain, apart from today, because the fucking sun's out, it's like 26 degrees. But I it's so autumn's already here. I'm like Come on, Halloween, let's go. I bought a pumpkin decoration today. Like, it's not my first one of the year either.
Oh yeah, I've gotten so many Halloween things.
Yeah. I'm just ready for fall. Like, I've even got it in my schedule, decorate the library as a video. I'm so ready to do it. Tara was my
Love it.
sister-in-law today. She was like, "How early do you think it is to put the decorations up?" I was like, "Never too early."
Yeah, I started probably a little less than a month ago, like looking for stuff.
Nice. Nice. Geneva Rose is a queen at it. Interesting. I think I'm
Yeah, I
definitely
haven't.
going to check that out because I enjoyed the element of the combination of the two, to be honest. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I haven't read many. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's not a lot, but I've heard good things about Geneva Rose. I have her new one, but I haven't read it yet.
Nice. Nice. I'm excited to read the next two that we've got lined up, to be honest, for Cliterature Book Club, see how they match up to this, with this one being the first one that I've done like this.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I thought Taylor was going to kill everyone. Looks like Rosa had no control of her. She really didn't. She
Yeah.
truly didn't. And that was a game changer with, oh shit, what was her name? It began with a K because they kept calling her K.
Kira, something
Kendra.
like that.
Yeah, I wanted to call her Kendra, and I knew that wasn't right, so I didn't say it. And I now said it. Kira, when she came back in the room, and I was like, "Oh shit, go girl!"
Yeah, I liked her.
I was like, "Take everyone's head off. Let's just get it over and done with. Kill them all." I felt it was one of those where you kept expecting monstrous or haunting instead of human evil. Yeah, I did actually think in the beginning that it was going to be one of those books, that convinced you that it was paranormal, and then it turned out it wasn't in the end. And it
Mm-hmm.
didn't go down that path. You kind of, you knew it wasn't even though there was some weird shit going on, you knew it wasn't paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the route I was expecting it to take once they got to the house, and it was like the way it was described, and then with Poppy, not Poppy's, I can't remember what her actual name is. Is it Zoe?
Zoe sounds right, yeah.
With her sleepwalking that turned out wasn't sleepwalking. Again, I thought like that was bizarre and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that the book within the book was a little more spooky, right?
Yes,
So I
yeah,
think they were trying to maybe like draw parallels because it was somewhat similar. So I think that was maybe the way of trying to make you think that it was going to be like spooky, like haunting type of stuff. But I feel like I would have heard people talk about the fact that it like went in that direction.
yeah,
So I just didn't really expect it.
yeah, yeah. I do think that it was clever the way that at one point, like towards the end, obviously, I don't think we got like a clear answer on this, but towards the end, she had the whole Daphne thing going on in her head, didn't she? Like she felt like Daphne was talking to her while she was trying to survive against Taylor. And I felt like that was really clever to try and, like you say, bring the character in from the story that she'd written, and the old tales from the house and stuff. But the whole, when they were on LSD and the whole demon fucking, I was like, what in the hell
Yeah,
is happening?
it's so weird.
And then the reveal at the end, and Taylor was like, I went down on you, and you still didn't pick my team, and I was like, wait, what? And then
Yeah,
Alex was like, wait, what? And I was like, same, bitch, same.
yeah, that was messed up.
I was like, dude. I did not see that coming. I honestly thought she was just tripping balls, but apparently not. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I thought it was just completely like in her mind.
Yeah. As we were discussing the book, I remember in all the good parts you were talking about, but when I was reading it was so bored, especially the first half, just dragged for me. Entirely fair. Entirely fair.
Yeah, I just liked like I completely get that because really the like main like the mystery like that's in the synopsis that is like the people missing didn't happen until what halfway into the
Yeah.
book. So I can see it dragging for people. I was just so interested in it for some reason, like trying to figure out like what, like the weird vibes, like what's going on. That like the fact that it didn't really pick up until halfway through didn't bother me, but I definitely get that.
I think it's building the tension a little bit though, because you know it's going to go weird, and you're like flicking page after page, and you're like, okay, they're just writing. It's a normal day, blah blah blah. Where's the weird shit going to come in? And I just kind of wanted to get to that point, so I just kept reading, and I was like, okay, this is cool. You know, rather than it would have been so easy for Julia Bartz to have just started this at the house and the story start from there. And I think the build up was really nice to be able to build up and, you know, not quite explain, have you wondering what happened with Alex and Ren and exactly what happened. And then, you know, you can see from the beginning that Alex is a bit of a train wreck. She has that one night stand with that guy and she's, you know, struggling and she's a bit of a train wreck. And you're like, okay, cool. We have a semi-unreliable narrator here. What is going to happen?
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think she said she's interested in trying to write like a more horror book.
Nice. I would pick that up. I think she would do a really good job with it based off of this. I think she could do a really good job with it because it's got that isolated setting and it does make you do feel a bit on edge and a bit uneasy. And, you know, Rose is an absolute nutcase. So there is that like terrifying out of your depth, no control element to it. But obviously a thriller sense as opposed to a horror sense. But I think she could do really well with the horror. And I would be interested in picking something like that up from her.
Yeah.
Again, though, they dragged Chitra into that because she was the woman that went down and was supposed to blow all the candles out. And I was like, oh, this poor woman.
Yeah. I was like a little stressed during that part. I was like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Like,
same.
In my brain, I was not like, oh, someone's just there blowing out the candles. I was like, what's happening?
I thought at that point that it could go paranormal. I was like, okay, there's a ghost.
Yeah.
Or a demon or some shit. Like something is going down. Poor old Chitra being sent down to blow candles out. Wonder about the dark. Oh, bless her. And then the way she was just like, yeah, we're going to lock you up in here. And I need you to finish those books, please. And I was like, oh, yeah, fucking sure.
It's just like, it's so like funny to me because you know Rosa was not the one that built those rooms. Like she was not down there with like drywall and like nails like in the basement or whatever. Like so she hired people to build this basement dungeon with a surveillance room. Like she did not set up this technology. Like the amount of people that are aware of this situation and just ignoring it for money.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's nuts, but like also I kind of get it because like, I mean, a lot of people are put in situations where it's either they do something like this and survive or like their kid goes hungry or like things like that. So it's not even just I can't remember her name, the lady that worked there and her kid was sick. But it's like all these other people too that are just like just bought.
Yeah. Yeah. You just imagine the builders, don't you, going around doing it all and being like, this is suspicious, but okay. And then years later, it all comes out on the news and they're like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
It was suspicious. I knew it. I built that roof.
Yeah, it's just so funny to think about.
Just sat there with the heating on and food on the table going,
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd tell anyone if it was me.
Oh, I feel like, you know what I would be interested in though, strangely enough, I think I would be interested in Julia Bartz writing the Daphne story as a horror. I feel like that would be really interesting. I know we got some parts of the chapters in here. I feel like it will be interesting now to write that as a horror, like a paranormal horror as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah, that'd
turns
be
out
fun.
the house is actually haunted.
Mm-hmm.
But even the haunted things were scared of Rosa. I will leave it to her. She's the nutcase in this situation. I would totally pick up the book within the book if it were a book on his own. Yeah, same. Absolutely. You empathizing or defending past actions?
I am not rich, so I have not been bought by a rich person, but I get it.
Oh, yeah, it was good. I'm trying to think if I had anything else in my notes to that I had to say. What else did I write? Got distracted by Jade uploading something. My apologies. I also wrote down as well when Poppy did like a reading of her story and Ren was like, not Ren, Alex is like, I recognize that. I wondered whether it was one of Ren's stories. And it turned out, obviously, she just nicked the story from a completely different author and it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, which is like nuts to me because just because it's an arc, like it's clearly further in the publishing stages. So like, how do you think you're gonna get away with that? Like what?
But also, I think her whole point was that she doesn't get away with it because I think she was literally there, wasn't she, to get revenge on Rosa and find out what happened to her auntie. So
yeah,
she wasn't necessarily there to get a book publishing deal.
True. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So like her whole point was that it's quicker for her to copy someone else's work and then she can do some investigation work, hence the sleepwalking at night.
Yeah, I completely forgot about her aunt.
Yeah.
Like that whole situation.
Yeah, because she knows the story from her aunt, hadn't she? But yeah, I thought it was going to be like one of Ren's stories. And then again, like Ren stealing when they were telling ghost stories and Ren stealing Alex's story. And she was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. It got to the end and she's like, are you fucking joking? And I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, there was so much plagiarizing going on.
Yeah. And Rosa was just like, nah, I didn't say you couldn't do that. And I was like, well, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, true.
Oh. I literally wrote chapter 16, Alex waking up in the night, Ren giving her an orgasm before throwing her over the railing, and Yana just being like, what a mess, what the fuck, what just happened, was this a dream? Chapter 17, confirmed it was a dream, that was fucking weird. Those are my notes.
I know she was like creeping outside of the door, like she would like hear noises of like people doing things and then just be like,
yeah.
Stand there and listen.
The first time when she stood outside Rosa's door and Rosa's clearly getting off with someone, and I was like, what? Are you just going to stand there? Okay.
So weird. So odd. So
this is how this book's going to go then.
Yeah. I think it just like added to like she's unhinged. Like you don't just stand outside the door when people like you don't do that.
What is your explanation when she opens the door and you're just stood there? And what is your reasoning for being there?
I was about to knock. No.
And then I heard noises, so I thought I'd just stand and listen.
Yeah, it's so weird.
No, I haven't. No.
I have not read it.
Is that a new one? I thought We Were Here was a debut. Is that not the case? The Spare Room a new one?
The Spare Room just came out.
I
think We Were Never Here came out maybe 2 years ago or so, and then the Spare Room just came out.
Nice.
We Were Never Here is about two friends. I don't think that one is steamy, but I know the Spare Room is.
Yeah. No one trusts Lexi. She could be bought. Yeah. I was convinced she just kind of body.
She just like knows people who will do whatever for money.
I mean, she's rich. Anyone can be bought. She truly was. Yeah. She truly was. Yes. It was very well done, actually. I was like, because again, you start off the book thinking, okay, we've got a completely unreliable narrator here because, she's clearly struggling with the breakup with Ren and she's, going through it. She's got some issues. And I was 100% like, okay, she's going to be an absolute nutcase. And maybe all of this is going to be made up and just a dream at the end. But no, the only things that were dreams was the majority of the sexy times and a bit of LSD and some demon porn that wasn't demon porn. And I was like, okay, great. But yeah, I think, it was really well done because you are convinced that she is an entirely unreliable narrator, and that's not 100% the case.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very well done. I did really enjoy the writing in this. I thought it was really, really good. I thought the atmosphere was really good as well.
Yes. I think the atmosphere is why I still had a good time with the first half. Because I mean, I don't mind slower books, but I prefer more fast-paced things. But if it's a little slower and the atmosphere is really good, then like that usually gets me.
Yeah, yeah. Thought the atmosphere was great. And I think having the extra chapters in it from Alex's book brought the spooky level up as well. Like we were saying, it did bring the spook to the book because I don't know if without it, it would have had the atmosphere was still good, like the whole cabin in the middle of nowhere, etc., etc. But it didn't. I think the story of Daphne and that paranormal side of things brought the paranormal element to it and had you sitting there.
And that made you question like if that was happening in like the real story.
Absolutely. Because you're convinced that, okay, well, she's writing this book from research that she's done, so the house must be haunted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't thought about it like that before, actually. But the only other book that I've read that made me feel like I was in a fever dream and I was like, what did I just read was The Last House on Needless Street.
I met that author last night.
Oh my God.
I freaking love that book. I love it. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was incredible. I'm not going to lie, I DNF'd it the first time I ever tried to read it, got rid of the book, and then I joined, just after COVID actually, I joined an in-person book club, and the first book that we were reading was Last House on Needless Street, and I was like, right, I'm going to have to give this another go now. So I did. I pushed through like the first 100 pages that I really struggled with the first time, so I was like, what are we doing with the talking cat? Like, I don't understand what's going on. What is happening? And once I pushed through that barrier, and I was like, okay, kind of enjoying this now. And then we got to the end and I was like, wait, what? What just happened? I was like, have I just been in a completely alternate universe while I've been reading this book? What just happened?
That one, I know we're not talking about that book, but I've reread Needless Street and Sundial, and like when you read it the second time, there are so many clues that are obvious if you know what's happening. But like, did you just kind of gloss over it the first time? So smart.
But I love books like that, though. You know, when you get to the end and you go, oh my God, I need to read this right now to see if I can pick up on it all. Because I did the same thing with Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I got to the end, and when you get the twist at the end, I was like, wait, what? And I was like, I need to go back and reread it so I can see whether or not I would pick up on it a second time. Because the first time I just never did.
Yeah. I love when that happens.
I do. It's such a good time. I need to read more Katharina Ward, to be honest. I do have Sundial, and I have just been recommended her new one.
Looking Glass Sound.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Which does sound great. I also have Little Eve as well.
I didn't love Little Eve. I gave it 3 stars, but it's more historical for my taste.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not a huge historical fan, but I'll give it a bash because I've got it. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this for my first erotic thriller, because that's a genre I didn't know existed until I started searching for these books, which I'm thrilled about. I loved this. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a really good time, and I think it's definitely given us more of a conversation this time around without us, like the last couple of times we've ended up derailing about 15 minutes in and talking about a million other different books that we enjoyed that were similar to this one. And this one we've actually managed, we've derailed for a couple of minutes there talking about Last House on Needless Street, but we've managed like 40 minutes of talking about this book, which is great.
Do you want to know the origins of this book?
Oh yeah, go on then.
So she initially started writing it for NaNoWriMo, and it was the same characters, but like the general plot was different, and the like twist at the end was that Rosa was an alien.
What?
And then yeah, right? So she wrote the whole thing during NaNoWriMo, and then later was like, I don't know about this, but she was like really drawn to the characters themselves. So she just like took them out of the story. And that's like the only thing that stayed the same, like their like personalities and dynamics and stuff. And then put them into this book. So yeah, originally it was an alien story.
Interesting. So originally it was like sci-fi as opposed to being a thriller.
Yeah. It was like, I think it had something to do with dreams as well. And I think it was like Rosa was like causing her to have these dreams because of her being an alien.
Wow.
Yeah. So random.
I mean, what a development though.
Yeah.
Because I think it's definitely going to have done way better as this story than maybe that one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I went to her event last night. It was so fun.
Nice. More thrillers for Clit Club. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I think I've definitely had a better time this time around, especially like with the live show, with the book and everything. Not that I've not enjoyed the books previously, but the discussions have always gotten to a point where we've kind of gotten stuck like 15, 20 minutes in, and that's it. And I feel like this has given us way more to talk about because it's not just the smut in the book or how the romance ended. This has given us smut, but a thriller that we can discuss as well, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's so random.
Maybe that's how she got away on her spaceship.
True. She was actually secretly still an alien, but we just don't know that.
The twist we never saw coming.
Yep. Yeah, when she like initially said that, we were all like, wait, did you just say an alien? Like what?
Cliterature thrills. I feel like it's way too on the nose to start calling the club Clit Thrill or Thrill Clit. We're just pushing the boundaries, you know? She phoned Rosa phone home. Come pick me up, I'm done. Oh, brilliant. Oh, imagine.
That's
wild. Yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyed it. 4.5 stars from me. I had a great time.
Yeah,
I'm interested. Yeah, Katie's obviously not made it, which is probably entirely my fault. 100% is. I was very, very late sending the link. But I'm interested to know what she thought of this one, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, it's interesting as well that we got such a mix of ratings as well.
Yeah. I feel like that's very typical for this book, because it is so unhinged and over the top and ridiculous that like you either love that or you don't.
Yeah. And I love it.
Oh, me too.
It was great. I would consider spending not a ridiculous amount of money, but like 30 quid on getting the American cover for sure, because I prefer it. I think it's so much prettier.
It's fun. I like it.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but I keep thrillers that I really enjoy. Whether or not I'll ever come back to them, I don't know, because I know how
I don't plan on rereading like any of these books. I just like to look at them, like,
Yeah.
because so these no this way these three shelves are all books I've read and enjoyed, um, and just like them being there and existing makes me happy. So that's why I have them.
Yeah, entirely fair. Entirely fair. I like to think that because my memory is so terrible, that after a certain amount of time, I'll forget how it ends and I can come back to it again,
True.
which would be great.
Yeah.
We'll have to test that theory one day. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed. Have you got anything else to add to this discussion, Lexi?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of like over the top kind of ridiculous thrillers that I've liked. Um, I mean, Riley Sager does ridiculous stuff. I think The Family Game by Catherine Stedman is kind of ridiculous, and that one's fun. And then Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. That one gets kind of ridiculous as well. And that one's kind of similar in like a lot doesn't really start happening for a while, but like the atmosphere and just like the characters made it interesting. So I like that one.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I think those are probably like my top recommendations. And then if you like this because of like the feminist side to it, The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead is my top recommendation for that. So
Such a good book. It's one of my favorites of the year. It's going to be in my top 10, I think.
it was my favorite book of last year.
It was incredible. I love a book with a podcast element to it, so I loved it for that side of things as well. But it was fantastic. Really loved that book.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I got a lot of female rage books to read. Yeah, no, it was great. Cool. The next book for August, this always confuses the shit out of me because we do the last book in the following month. The next book for August, which is the month we're currently partway through, is going to be Indigo Ridge by Devney or Denvy. I don't know whether the N comes first or the V comes first. Perry. But that author along those lines, I apologize if you're watching this. I doubt you are, but I think I'm going to love the book. So it's going to be great. So yeah, that's the book that we're reading next. I'm going to try and make that live show pretty early on in September. So if you wanted to pick that one up, I'll get to it, before the beginning of September because I'm going away on the 8th of September for a week. So otherwise then it'll be like middle of September.
Who's joining you for that one?
Great question.
Okay. I was just curious.
I've got it written down somewhere. Is it? Oh, shit.
You can just post about it later.
Yeah, I think it's. My brain wants to say it's Kaylee and Rye, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But I think it is. I can't quite remember. And then I've still got a spot left for the Lost Women. I've got no idea what that book is called for September. Not a clue. Loreth and White is the author. That's all I know. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out and thanks for chatting with us as well. I'm glad you enjoyed the book, and if you didn't, that's absolutely fine. Thanks for joining us still for the discussion. Hopefully you stick around and read the next one and potentially enjoy that one a bit more. But Lexi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and for chatting about the book. I appreciate it.
I had a great time.
Yeah. And we shall see you very soon. Also, if you want any reading sprints, I'm hosting some in the next at 1:45 the hour. I can't work out how many minutes that is away from here now. 25?
Yeah, pretty close.
Math is hard. It's hot.
Yeah.
25 minutes. I'm doing public reading sprints for our book support group. They're drowned girls. I knew something had happened to them. They were lost. They were drowned. Something happened. That one. September. But yeah, sprints in 25 minutes on my channel if you're interested. And we should see you soon. Bye for now.